Hello and welcome to Restoring Our American Republic. I'm Chuck Burnett with The Nature of Things, where we are realigning God, government, and natural law so that we might restore our American Republic. Please post your comments to be part of the narrative. Mike Levine and I talked about property taxes and property insurance on Tuesday, but there's just a little bit more we'd like to talk about. Actually, prior to FDR, when a property was paid off, one would receive something called an allodial title document. So what is that? Well, Webster's 1828 dictionary defines allodial as freehold estates, land which is the absolute property of the owner, held in absolute independence without being subject to any rent, any service or acknowledgement to a superior. The land was yours, not the government's. There was no right to tax you on it. Well, today's reality is much different. The government provides you with water, sewer, electricity, trash disposal, yada, yada, yada. They claim eminent domain and believe that they can even make you sell your property to them if they feel like they need it. And your city or your county seems to be spending every cent of what they receive, but it's still not enough. So what exactly are we paying for, and why are property owners the only ones who owe it? The reality is that if you own your home, you're probably stable enough to be counted on for the money. That would be my guess. So with that, I would like to welcome today's guest, Maria Zack. Uh, Welcome, Maria. Maria is a candidate for Florida House District 90, as well as chairman of Nations in Action. Maria, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Chuck.
Sure. And before we get too far, let's bring in Michael Levine. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Chuck and Maria. I'm so excited about this interview.
Yeah, so I am too. I'm actually torn. I don't know what to ask about first. So I was just wondering maybe we could talk about Nations in Action. You know, what is Nation in Action all about, and does it really have anything to do with property taxes?
It has everything to do with property tax because when you get good governance, Chuck,
Good
you actually,
governance.
yeah, that's a
That
key
probably
word.
starts before. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about Nations in Action.
So, Nations in Action is an organization of people from around the world who are working on preventing government out of control, which it is in many locations, and by reeling it back in with some just simple steps: audits, affidavits, and transparency. By restoring government with those tools, you find that government was way out of their boundaries. There's a rule of law in America, the United States Constitution, that should be adhered to. And with that as the guiding principles, we know how government should and shouldn't be spending money. And unfortunately, a lot of people are busy. They try to serve in the legislature, their city council, county commission, and they don't always understand the impact of some of their decisions and whether or not they're truly constitutional. What is the fiscal impact? What then happens in harming the family unit and the sense of community? And property tax is by far the number one issue that has extensively damaged the communities and the ability for our nation to survive.
I once asked someone who was running for a house district like you. He it was at an event, and he asked me for my vote. And I asked him, you know, where does he stand on the Constitution? He said, "Oh, I'm for it. I'm for it." I says, "Have you ever read it?" Silence. So yeah, it would be nice for
Amazing.
our representatives to actually know what the Constitution's all about. Not just the U.S. Constitution. Unfortunately, the Florida Constitution is probably a whole lot more complex, but it still would be a good idea to understand it. Uh, so, um, so this is a special election. Can you talk about
Yes,
that?
House District 90 is a seat, legislative seat in the Boynton, Florida, down to Del Rey and on the East Coast along the coastal cities, Ocean Ridge and others. So we are looking to turn that district to be Republican. It's currently been held by a Democrat who just passed away. So this is a special election. with the primary September 30th and the general election in December. So we're very anxious to help people understand how we can get them out of poverty, how we can make the families function better with less government spending through the audits, affidavits, and transparency. And certainly by eliminating property tax, you reduce crime and have many other ancillary things that occur to help society and benefit society.
There you go.
Yes, so that's good. And I'm sorry, when is the that special election?
September 30th for the primary, and there will be a primary. So I'm asking everybody for their vote and to come out and help on the campaign. mariazack.com is the website that is getting put up. And it's a special election, so we're trying to get organized as fast as we can. I was just in Tallahassee a couple of days ago, qualifying officially, and I will go review the ballot tomorrow morning. So the SOE is getting ready to host the election, and everybody's scrambling, and that's why I need everybody's help to help fundraise, to help make calls, and help go door to door, and certainly to get the vote out on election day and with absentee ballots for those that are not here.
So this is a blue district that we're hoping to turn red.
It's transitioning red, and I think it's that Americans are waking up that there's something grossly wrong with spending in government, and we have to do better. It's not fair to families. It's not fair to the hardworking people who are trying their darndest to make ends meet. And in Florida, we have so many issues, especially on the insurance side, with all the hurricanes driving up insurance costs. We don't have enough competition yet in the insurance realm, and we have to do better in that regard. We need to do better in our condo laws, and most of all, we have to end property tax. It is wrong. It is deceitful in that it's not, you're never owning your home, which is just wrong in and of itself and unconstitutional in my mind, because you are supposed to have the freedoms, and you don't have those freedoms when you have property tax. And what's more frightening is that you don't have the transparency of where all the money's going. And so government is ours. It's not the bureaucrats. So we have to remind them that we need to see everything online in real time. Plenty of clouds up there, right? No excuse for not having cloud storage space. So they can go online, and as they complete a document, it goes online, boom, it's that quick. So it's like a massive extranet, and that's simple. Just let the world see everything you do in every department, agency, and commission. And once you give that transparency, you'll start saying, hold on a second, what is this expenditure? What is that? And as you go through it, you say, okay, we need to have the audit, and in the audit, it needs to be both a fiscal and constitutional audit. Now, when I spoke with Elon Musk's team, we explained this to them because we wanted it to be certainly extensive. And I'm grateful for Elon stepping up and tweeting about ending property tax. And he also tweeted for us the ending of the or implementing of the audit. So both the property tax with the audit go hand in hand, because you start to see all the things that were wasteful spending and unconstitutional. Of course, everything at USAID made my head explode, and every citizen must have gone, what are we paying for, and why, and how long, and who did this? So the who did this is important, that transparency on who is deciding to send money to various nations to do burlesque shows and other activities that are totally demoralizing to those nations. So we need a little more, not a little, a lot more transparency. And that's one of the core factors of what we do at Nations in Action. We built the legislation for the audits, affidavits, and transparency, and we give them as kits to candidates and current serving elected officials. And President Milei in Argentina received them, and he's been doing a great job implementing a lot of this. And for Elon Musk to get Doge started, we were super excited about that and grateful. And now it's transcending into other states now wanting to do the audits in their states. We had an amendment from Ken Paxton, a good friend of mine, who is the Texas Attorney General, and he said, look, when you do the audit, if an entity fails, we should not be funding them subsequently. And absolutely. So I call that the Ken Paxton Amendment, rightfully so. And I'm grateful for his advice, because that will stop them in advance of their fiscal period. So they have to pass their audit or they're done. No one would keep doing that in a business world of funding something that can't pass their audit. And so the affidavit program in the 1970s, there was a person who ran for president of Colombia. He was a military general. And when he got in, he said he was going to do the affidavit for all government employees to check a box, yes or no, do you see government corruption? 30% of the employees left because they knew they would be arrested. And that preemption is exactly what's needed. People have to know it's not allowed, it's not tolerable, it won't be ever again, and we will have severe penalties for anyone who falsifies an affidavit. And so we will protect the employees who are the whistleblowers and as part of their job, protecting the citizens' trust in government. And then, of course, the transparency in real time, it's about time. So it's way past time for us to have those programs in place. So audits, affidavits, and transparency are now sweeping the country, sweeping other countries. And I'm most excited. We have a pledge that you can go online and sign and put quotes. And we have candidates for U.S. Senate across America that have signed the pledge. And that's really exciting. So you're going to start seeing some movement in the Senate. So I'm always like 8 years ahead of everybody. You'll start to see it. It's our work, but we get there as we get enough members elected that have that vision and understand the importance. And that's what voters should be demanding. And that's where I think the cool part of the program is that voters are now realizing these 3 items are missing, which then would enable ending property tax. So if we had had that in the beginning of the audits, affidavits, and transparency, and I don't want to crack on our forefathers, because my 6th great grandfather penned the Declaration of Independence and worked with Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and most importantly, General Washington, President Washington. So I'm very much grateful for the foundation they gave us. I don't think they could have ever imagined that we would have politicians who have done what they've done to our country. And thankfully, it's the few. But those of us who are strong in good governance and want to provide that transparency to the people and know the importance and are willing to end property tax, that's how we restore it. And those that don't will be obvious to the world. They will be spotted quickly.
There you go. Chuck?
Yeah, I understand that you were actually involved. You've been involved, obviously, in politics for quite a little while, but you were involved with the Newt Gingrich presidential campaign. Could you tell a little bit about that?
Yes, I enjoyed running his national office in Atlanta and toured many locations with him. And he's obviously a genius and quite a great constitutionalist of understanding what's needed. And I enjoyed the times of teaching people about the Contract for America, and then certainly with the second contract and looking that over and helping tweak a word or two there for the contract. Second contract for America. So we know, Newt's been a stalwart for the Republicans of not just Republicans, but I've been at many events with him, and I saw Black female teachers in North Carolina give him a standing ovation. And that's what we need in society. It's not about party. It's about right and wrong. It's about following the law, the rule of law, and the Constitution. So this is not partisan. This is about making America what it was and what it can be even better with the audits, affidavits, and transparency, and restoring that freedom of owning your property. And that will rebirth the sense of community. It will decrease greatly the crime. And Newt saw a lot of this. His go-get-'em attitude in the first 100 days was something that was necessary, but shouldn't be forgotten. We can move faster, and we must move faster. We have AI coming out. So this propensity to drag feet and not get the hard substantive issues resolved is a failure and of lawmakers. And we have to move faster and go to the root problem. Don't say, oh, it's too difficult. No, you don't put a Band-Aid on it and keep letting it bleed out and fund, and more money goes down the drain. No, cut it off at the top and let's get it fixed.
Yeah, President Trump, I think, has kind of showed us that things can get done very quickly if you have a mind to get them done. I guess that's the problem, whether or not they really want to fix anything. Now, and I don't mean to be jumping around a little bit, but property tax is pretty much, it's out there. Everyone's talking about it. President Trump started it. What I'm hearing isn't so much a complete elimination of property taxes, but different methods of either slowing it down or stopping it for certain people based on how long possibly you've lived in Florida, etc. And are you suggesting that you have some ideas of that would completely eliminate all property tax, or at least property tax on single family homeowner kind of people?
So the beauty of having time under your belt and working on this issue is that you get to design the program and build it for where we are today. Because we have AI now, I'm able to run numbers different than I did in 2017 when I gave this to President Trump. And he knew that capital gains tax could be eliminated. Now he's calling for it. So our letters back in 2017, 2018, I'm like super excited. I got the call in 2020 from Jared Kushner's office saying, yes, Maria, we're going to work with you to end property tax. So when the election was stolen 3 weeks later, it was quite disconcerting to me because we had a lot of work to do. And when I talked to Congressman Jim Jordan about it, he's like, Maria, why is this federal? And I said, Jim, SAMHSA grants and capital gains. And he's like, what are SAMHSA grants? And I said, oh, that's the Department of Justice here to help you. They have a gain. They've got funds, and they're going to give it to communities to go revamp them and make them pretty and fix up homes for people who need it. But the problem is the property tax then increased and they could no longer own their home. So they put them out of their home. And they didn't understand that if you took all the programs that exist to supposedly help citizens on fix up their homes or have an affordability moment, those aren't helping. They're band-aids. So if you took the math of what is the cost of collecting property tax and do the real math, we get numbers that start showing us, if you do the audits, affidavits, and transparency with the collection elimination, then you will absolutely have a formula that gives you roughly $60 billion in savings. Think about that. They say that it's 50 billion collection in Florida. So we're working on that formula now, but we probably have the most robust mathematical equation to pull this off for all property tax. And I'm excited about it. We'll see where people want to go. What do they think their priorities are in government over letting someone own their home? And I would argue if you let the people speak and tell you what they think, you would definitely know what should and shouldn't be. So a lot of programs that just kind of got spun up, got out of control. And I'll give you the example of Palm Beach County. This horrified me to learn this recently. In 5 years, rough numbers, I'll give you, $5 billion 5 years ago was our budget. It is now almost $10 billion, doubling. What did we get in exchange for this? That's what is the question. Where did all this money go? Why did we need to double from $5 billion to $10 billion in 5 years? It's unsustainable. It's wrong. We need to stop this. And it's been on both sides. It doesn't matter your party, but because of term limits and things like that, this turnover of people, you're not getting someone like me with 40 plus years experience who can walk in and get the job done. And a lot of people love term limits. I would argue your term limit is what is set in your election. If it's 2 years for the House, that's my term limit. If I didn't do a good job, get rid of me, please. And then get someone who actually knows what to do. Having experts in different areas is great. And we have people with different backgrounds. But saying someone shouldn't serve after 8 years, to me, if they're actually eliminating property tax and it's taking them that long, maybe they should stay. They shouldn't be doing this game that they're doing now of, oh, let me run for the Senate and then I'll go run back for the House. And it's like, no, it's still the same people, but the chaos that's created, you're not getting the job done. And you have to elect people who have the skill, the competency, and actually the shock for me is some people don't even know what the problem is, so they can't figure out the solution. This program of audits, affidavits, and transparency, it brings it back down to the foundation. And that's where we have to start. And then we can talk about the money that is saved on the property tax. And then we'll have the formula for what money will be saved instantly. And that lets us give you the amount of homes that will be immediately eliminated from paying property tax.
Very interesting. Mike, been a little quiet. I thought I'd bring you on just in case you had something to say here, but I guess.
Well, Chuck, let me just get into that. Thank you very much for giving me a little bit of microphone time here, Chuck, because I will tell you something right now. This is what I love about Maria, okay? When you have somebody with Maria's talent and skill set, you don't need me to be doing a lot of talking. Maria is the best. And I'll tell you something, Chuck. I've been around politics for quite a while. And I'm telling you that every time I talk to Maria, I just have a enhanced understanding of why she needs to be the leader. Okay, this woman is amazing. She agrees with everything you believe, Chuck. She believes in the Constitution of the United States. She understands the economics. She has the experience with Newt and his team. And she's just learned this so comprehensively. And I'm saying to you, voters in HD 90, if you miss this opportunity to elect Maria Zack, there's no help for you. I mean, this woman brings it, and you know what? And then you get into the leadership situation in the legislature. And when you send Maria Zack to the Florida House, whether it's in the House or the Senate, Maria's going to be a thought leader there. Leadership is going to appreciate, even if they disagree with her, they're going to appreciate what she brings to the table because it's going to be good for them. So I'm a major supporter of Maria. I just can't think of a person that I would rather see running our government. And for me, the more authority we can give her, the better, Chuck.
There you go. So just a quick question, Maria. You say you're going to be obviously in a primary. How many and who are these people? Can you pick one that the RPOF would prefer to be in there rather than you, or are you the the grassroots candidate? Tell us a little bit about who you may be running against.
Sure. There's a gentleman who's running who ran before and lost, and he ran for both House and the Senate seat there, and he lost both times. So I don't think the party believes that his chances are good at all at winning the general, and his ability to serve. He doesn't have experience, and he's got a great thriving business. He's a very good businessman, but as we know, politics isn't always run like a business, although many think it should. It isn't the reality. And you don't just have the ability to hire and fire someone. You don't have the ability, as people are seeing with President Trump, right? You're seeing this dilemma that people are like, why are things not happening faster? And the frustration President Trump has, and he got kind of caught flat-footed having that business mentality, thinking he could just go get it done. And it doesn't work that fast. And it should. And those mechanisms to put it faster would have happened had he done the audits, affidavits, and transparency. So hopefully we can get him to take those challenges on and implement those programs so we can right-size government and find out where there might be corruption or just bad governance. And that's critical. The opponent in this race is not skilled at even comprehending any of this. He made a comment to me about President Trump and his disdain for President Trump's moves on immigration, that they have trouble finding workers and he's going to destroy South Florida. And I just don't believe that at all. I don't see that. I think President Trump has had a great walk through what illegal immigration has done to our nation in harming it, and did what was imperative to get everyone back out, tell them to follow the law, and let's fix it. And then certainly with the schools, trade schools and colleges, what are they doing to help these kids that graduate actually get jobs? And that's important, that we fill that void of, here you graduate, you better have a job waiting for you. And so if you don't, there's a breakdown. And that's where the universities need to know that they're not putting all these kids through psychology classes to be psychologists, but yet there are no jobs. So it's foolish to mislead them that there will be a ton of jobs. Of course, we have huge needs now with AI advancements, and that's going to shift the workforce and be even more struggling for our kids coming out of college if they're not prepared. But even the general citizenry of workers are going to be displaced, and nobody's really calculated that impact. And that's why the sooner we eliminate property tax, the better off it will be for the family unit, because they will know if maybe a parent wants to stay home with their kids, and that way they can help raise their kids and not always be in the rat race of trying to pay bills, but be able to have that luxury of, and freedom. I call it a luxury, but really it's the freedom they deserved all along, of knowing they can be with their kids and raise them and not have other people raise them. The calculations on just having a job, having a car, paying for fuel, anywhere from, $5,000 to $10,000 a year is just on fuel for their cars. And then you have clothing and hiring the babysitters, and suddenly the math is upside down. But what people never did, and Representative Randy Nix, I met this past weekend, and I was really impressed because I was talking to him about the time value of money. And he's a realtor like you, Mike. And he was saying, oh, I love time value of money. I said, it's extraordinary when you take what people pay for property tax every year for their lifespan. And what would you have had if you didn't have property tax, if you had invested it instead in something grossing maybe 5–10%? You're talking $2 to $3 million in your lifetime that you have spent on property tax instead of putting it into savings. And that's wrong. That's thievery. And we have to end this as quick as possible. And I will tell you, it will be HB1 for me. It'll be my #1 bill.
What I'm hearing is the possibility of a constitutional amendment, Florida constitutional amendment, to reduce property taxes. Now, it seems to me that that's kind of like, hitting this pretty hard, and whatever they come up with for a constitutional amendment seems to be pretty much in stone. Mike, did you have something you wanted to share about that?
Property taxes are a constitutional issue, so it has to be a constitutional amendment. It can't be done legislatively.
Okay. All right. Well, that
Right.
that explains that. There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Well,
And we want it to be in the Constitution, right? So
Yeah, we want it to be hard to change.
yes, exactly. And that's why we
And
don't.
really, if you really want to get into it, Maria, and I know this is a stretch, you know what I mean? But, and I'm fully on board with eliminating property taxes on homesteaded property. But in reality, why would anybody have to pay taxes on the property they own? Even commercial, downtown office buildings, why would you have to pay taxes? And, there should be other ways to raise this money, right? We're in a huge economy here. And I think we put our thinking caps on. There's nobody better to do the analysis than Maria Zack. And if you ever, and I have big plans for you, Maria.
Well, there's
there you go.
it's not just
Exactly.
one bill, it's not just the constitutional amendment, but by passing the audits, affidavits, and transparency, that
There you
fills
go.
that void. Instead of going and raising more taxes and more taxes, let's find out where our money's going. Surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Well, we
So
are
I'll tell you
pretty
something.
much.
That's why I love her, Chuck.
There
I've
you
been
go.
preaching this message to my local government here since day one. And now, Maria and I just, of course, she has a much deeper background than I do, and I certainly defer to her. But she just sings out of the same hymnal that I sing out of for sure, especially economically, right?
There you go. Well,
Chuck?
I'm going to take that as your final wrap up. Maria, is there any final
Yes,
thing you would
sir.
like to say as we are pretty much out of time? Final words, Maria.
Well, I'm just grateful to be here with you both, and thank you for having the camaraderie of building, this network of people who know how to solve the problems. And that's what we have to do. We have to step up very quickly. We have to move hard and fast. I need your help. House District 90, election September 13th, or rather September, I believe it's 30th is the primary, and December 8th is the general election. So I need your help. House District 90, and it's mariazack.com, and come door to door with us, come make phone calls, and we'll help eliminate your property tax.
Super.
Woo.
Well, thank you so much, Maria, for being with us today, and possibly we can hear more from you when things get a little bit closer to your election. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
and thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah,
tuning
yeah.
into
No,
our
it's time
twice
now.
weekly
It's time now. We have to get her help now.
there you go. Yeah. Thank you
Exactly.
for tuning into our twice weekly live stream. Please follow us on Facebook at Restoring Our American Republic, or check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic -ROAR. Like and share the program, please. And remember, if you are unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. So see you next time. Meanwhile, God bless you. God bless President Donald J. Trump, and God bless America.